This is CBC Here and Now.
The town of Salmon Cove is asking residents to stay out of the water.
The signs have been put up, no swimming.
Upstream of the lagoon, the water is clear and the fish are alive. Downstream, the water is green and the fish are dead.
If you like the heat and humidity, you'll be happy tomorrow, but things are going to change as we get into Thursday.
And we're seeing it as an opportunity for us to continue to strengthen that supply chain on the East Coast.
No longer in limbo?
How Suncor plans to bring back the Terra Nova. Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. I'm Carolyn Stokes.
And I'm Peter Cowan. We start tonight in Salmon Cove in Conception Bay North. The town is warning people to stay away from bodies of water. Residents have spotted dead fish and say the water has been turning green. Here Now's Henrika Wilhelm reports.
The town of Salmon Cove warned people to stay away from the bodies of water in the town, from Forest Pond to the beach. The water recently turned green, and people spotted dead fish.
I think it was noticed yesterday further down the shoreline. Yeah, this morning is the first time I've noticed the dead fish washed up on the shoreline. And then, like I said, progressively the pond has got greener and greener.
And that prompted town officials to warn people to keep away.
The signs have been put up, no swimming. Until we get answers from the DFO and the other departments that we've been in contact with, we cannot give any answers to anybody.
Residents are alarmed. They've been sharing photos and videos online to warn others.
Upstream of the lagoon, the water is clear and the fish are alive. Downstream, the water is green and the fish are dead.
We think the water is polluted, and we would not swim in it. We definitely wouldn't go drinking it.
Some residents believe the culprit is the nearby sewage plant, but others think it's algae. DFO and the Department of Environment and Climate Change are aware of the situation and have taken water samples.
He took some samples, but then when I heard of the fish dying yesterday, he came back again this morning and took some more samples again.
The mayor worries if this isn't resolved soon, it'll keep people away just as the tourism season gets underway.
We cannot have any resident or any surrounding resident or any other community on this province come visit our beach and have harmful done to them.
You can't use this water now for recreation. I wouldn't eat the fish. I wouldn't swim in it. I wouldn't let my kids swim in it. I wouldn't boat in it. So it's gone right now as far as I'm concerned.
Many residents approached us with concerns. Nobody can say for certain what causes the issues, but one thing everyone agreed on: it has to be fixed. Henrika Wilhelm, CBC News, Salmon Cove.
Certainly a hot day out there today. Broke a number of records in some areas across the province. Let's take a look at those. Daytime highs of 26.4 degrees in St. John's. That broke a record from 1972. Twillingate, Farrell Point, and Corner Brook all reaching those record-breaking temperatures today. A number of areas seeing highs anywhere from 28 to 30 degrees, and then we've got those temperatures in the 20s across Labrador as well. So we do have the remnants of Tropical Storm Claudette, or what was Tropical Storm Claudette. That will move in as we head through the night tonight. We're already starting to see some showers for the southwest, and that will generally continue. And we're going to hang on to this heat and humidity as well, and we're going to see that through the day tomorrow. But by the time Thursday rolls around, we're going to see a relief from that and some cooler temperatures as well. But I will get into all the details when I come back.
Thanks, Ashley. Well, the province is changing the way it provides COVID-19 vaccines starting tomorrow. The health minister says vaccinations will now be given at what the province is calling mRNA clinics. Here Nesmar Quinn reports.
The change means individuals who book won't be asked if they want Pfizer or Moderna for a second shot, but will be offered what is available. And Health Minister John Haggie says that means even if you've already booked a second shot for a Pfizer vaccine, you may be offered Moderna when you arrive for your appointment.
Both vaccines are equivalent. There is good science there that it doesn't really matter whether it's a Pfizer or a Moderna, and our argument is that we will offer what we've got.
Haggie said the changes are necessary because the province expects to receive a lot more Moderna than Pfizer in the coming weeks. He says people who don't want what they're offered at their appointment can rebook an appointment later for the type of vaccine they want. Moderna isn't licensed for people under 18. Haggie said clinics will ensure that everyone between the ages of 12 and 18 will get a Pfizer vaccine.
Well, I mean, I've been inundated, and I'm sure everyone in there has been.
Progressive Conservative MHA Paul Dinn says he's been getting calls from seniors and people with children who are immunocompromised who've had the appointments they booked for second shots cancelled and now can't book a new one.
So here we are. We have all these individuals who are already scheduled for their second vaccine, and now they're stuck scrambling to try and get another vaccine. And I suspect many are probably going to end up with their second vaccine later than what they were initially scheduled for. And it's just crazy because we're talking health here.
Haggie said clinics are working hard to get shots in arms. He said regional health authorities will be adding more clinic availability as soon as this evening. Mark Quinn, CBC News, St. John's.
So what are you supposed to do if you can't find an appointment available for 8 weeks? Well, I'll talk to the person in charge of vaccine clinics for Eastern Health a little later in the show. Speaking of COVID, there is one new case of COVID-19 in the province today. It's a woman in the western region who's a contact of a previous case, and it's not connected to the cluster there. Our caseload has dropped almost in half thanks to a slew of recoveries. There are now just 13 active cases in the province. And we know that there were no new cases over the weekend. The news was only released today, as yesterday was a government holiday. So that puts us in some good company. Nova Scotia and New Brunswick also reported no new cases today, while PEI hasn't had a positive case in weeks. Well, starting tomorrow, visitors from Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and PEI will be able to enter this province without any testing or self-isolation requirements. Nova Scotia was expected to do the same, but in a last-minute move, they've modified the reopening plan there. Nova Scotia will open its borders to residents of this province and PEI tomorrow without restrictions, but there will be different rules for New Brunswickers. People from that province will have to get a test upon arrival and quarantine. This new rule comes after New Brunswick announced late last week that it's opening up to all Canadians, so long as they have at least one dose of the vaccine.
It's regrettable that we have to have something in place with New Brunswick and our own Nova Scotians that are going to New Brunswick and coming back in, but we have to put safety first, and I'm not going to take chances. This is a cautious approach, and we just need more time. We'll be monitoring, Dr. Strang and I, the epidemiology in New Brunswick as they start to open up more aggressively than the rest of Atlantic Canada.
Newfoundland and Labrador hasn't announced any similar changes for how New Brunswick residents are going to be treated. And as I mentioned, they'll be able to enter Newfoundland and Labrador without those restrictions starting tomorrow morning. Tomorrow is also the weekly briefing, so it'll be a chance to get some more clarity from health officials.
Well, there are new details about the plan to bring the Terra Nova oil field back to life, and it appears the bull arm fabrication site will play a role in that process. Terry Roberts reports.
For months, the Terra Nova production vessel has floated quietly dockside at Bull Arm, watched over by a skeleton crew. But if all goes to plan, that silence will be replaced by the sound of construction this fall.
So there'll be a lot of work for us to be done here, and we look forward to working with all the contracting community here to support that work.
After months of uncertainty, and with an industry bracing for a worst-case scenario, Suncor announced an agreement in principle last week involving the Terra Nova. If approved, an expensive life extension project will be sanctioned this fall, and part of that plan involves a scope of work at Bull Arm, involving local contractors and personnel.
Suncor is not yet saying the value of this work in Bull Arm or the number of construction jobs that will be created. What we do know is that this work in Bull Arm is just one phase in the refit of the Terra Nova. Next winter, the plan is to sail the production vessel to a dry dock in Spain, where the work will be completed.
It's a lot of an investment in an asset that we look forward to working and operating for the next decade to come.
There's also plenty of work to be done next year on the seabed. Suncor is in the process of contracting specialized vessels to upgrade aging wellheads and other infrastructure.
This is a significant investment for us on the East Coast, but we saw much benefit in doing this project, basically to keep our supply chain community strong in a basin where we've been operating for multiple decades now.
If all goes to plan, the Terra Nova will return to the Grand Banks in the fall of 2022 to resume production, with about 80 million barrels of oil remaining in the field.
This plan to revive the Terra Nova was made possible through a change in the ownership structure. There was also a major injection of public money, $200 million from the Oil Industry Recovery Fund, and royalty relief to the tune of $300 million.
We needed to come to an agreement with all the owners of the asset, as well as the support from the Oil and Gas Recovery Fund was definitely one of the key pillar in us getting to where we were able to get to last week.
Suncor has to produce a benefits report every quarter, which includes the number of direct jobs. Now, before production was suspended in late 2019, it was common for the number of jobs linked to the Terra Nova to surpass 1,000. Jose Tremblay signaled very strongly that will again be the case when production resumes late next year. Terry Roberts, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, a court date has been set for those seeking to throw out some of the 2021 election results. The trial is set to begin in Supreme Court in February 2022. Applications have been filed to throw out results in 3 districts. Kyle Reese, who you see there, is representing NDP leader Alison Coffin. She's challenging the results in St. John's East Kitty-Vitty. Lawyers representing John Abbott argue the applications should be dismissed. They say all parties equally benefited or were harmed by the challenges of a winter election which took place during a pandemic. But Reese disagrees.
If you wanted to vote and you didn't get a chance to vote, it means your voice wasn't heard. It's less, in our case, about the outcome of the election and more about the process. If you wanted to vote and you didn't get a chance to vote, I don't care if you weren't going to vote NDP. You wanted to cast a ballot, you didn't get a chance to do it, you need to have another kick at that can.
Now, Jim Lester, who ran in the district of Mount Pearl North, is also challenging the election. So is Sheila Fitzgerald, who ran in St. Barb Lanza Meadows. Both are representing themselves in court.
Well, some in the forest industry say it's a mistake for a national park in the province to skip out on spraying for spruce budworm. 140,000 hectares on the west coast will be sprayed with BTK starting this month to prevent the insect from ravaging forests. But Gros Morne National Park is opting out, saying BTK is too much of an intervention. The park calls the insect outbreak natural. The Newfoundland Forest Industry Association disagrees, saying the province will have to spray even more heavily in areas surrounding the park to compensate.
Outbreaks, they don't recognize boundaries. We respect people's right to make decisions within their own boundaries. But unfortunately, these insects don't recognize lines drawn on a map. We're talking about protecting silviculture investments from years gone by. Maybe not so in the park, but obviously throughout the whole province, we've done massive silviculture investment. And to watch that go up, and to lose out to an insect, when we have the opportunity, when we have the support of all these federal government agencies, except Parks Canada, we have to question.
If you thought today was hot, tomorrow is certainly going to feel a lot more humid, but we are going to see a relief from that as we head into Thursday and towards the weekend, but I will get into all the details when I come back.
In a way, I kind of see them as battle scars because this was like a particularly bad time that I managed to get through.
Still ahead tonight, mental health care at a tattoo parlor?
We're taking a closer look at self-harm and how one tattoo artist is trying to help survivors. Ashley is here now to look at the weather forecast. And Ashley, it feels like everyone is in a good mood today. Everyone I encounter is like, someday today. It's beautiful outside.
It is. It's beautiful. Nice breeze as well, helping with some of this heat and humidity for parts of the province. But yeah, we do have a number of heat warnings in place still through Central. Let's take a look at those and the interior, anywhere from Deer Lake through to Green Bay, White Bay, and then across to Bonavista North. And that will continue as we head through the day tomorrow. Taking a look at the daytime highs today, anywhere from 26 to 30 degrees for most areas. A little bit cooler though along the south coast. The further inland you get, the warmer the temperatures. And then we've got mild temperatures as well through southeastern Labrador. Cartwright sitting at 26 degrees, 22 in Happy Valley, Goose Bay. And the daytime high in Lab City was 17 degrees, but those temperatures have dropped and they'll continue to do so as we head through the evening hours. Otherwise, a beautiful evening for most of the island with temperatures anywhere from 26 to 28 degrees. And if we take a look at the dew points, they're anywhere from 13 to 15 degrees. And if you see that scale on the side, that's when you're starting to get a little bit uncomfortable. And they're going to get, and we're noticing that in that humidex value. So humidex value is anywhere from 29 to 33, even 34 it feels like in Deer Lake and Corner Brook. And as we head through the day tomorrow, those dew point temperatures forecasted to be anywhere from 15 to 19 degrees. So that's when we really start to get uncomfortable. So you'll note tomorrow will be significantly more humid as we head through the day. And then as we get into Thursday, look at those dew points. They drop dramatically. So much drier air will say goodbye to that heat and humidity, at least for a couple of days, because it looks like it will return for the weekend. So taking a look at what's happening right now, we've got an area of high pressure to the south, area of low pressure over Labrador, and that is actually bringing some rain for parts of Labrador, and will continue to do so tonight. We're seeing not a whole lot happening across the island, but we're starting to see some showers for the southwestern corner there. And the remnants of Claudette will move in tonight too. And that's just going to bring some moisture, not nearly the amount of rain that we need through Central. Fire indexes are high to extreme, but it is going to bring some relief. And note that cold front that's sweeping through Labrador as well. We're going to see that temperature drop for most of you across the Big Land as we get into tomorrow, as that cold front continues to sweep through. But we keep in that mild and humid air for most of the island. So temperatures tonight not really going to move too much, going to stay in the mid to high teens through the night. And again, that chance of showers will move in through the overnight. Southerly winds anywhere from 25 to 40 kilometers per hour. And then there's that drop in temperatures I was talking about for Labrador. So 5 to 8 degrees as your overnight lows tonight. Now tomorrow, that cold front will only mainly affect Labrador. That's going to move off, and we're going to stay in that southerly flow. So chance of showers for the first half of the day, and then we'll see some mix of sun and cloud for central and eastern areas. Along the south coast, though, you're going to stay in that unsettled and gray skies with a chance of fog and showers as well. And generally, the west will stay cloudy through the day. The most rain will actually fall in southeastern Labrador. You could see anywhere from 10 to 20 millimeters of rain through the afternoon. And then temperatures tomorrow, like I said, are going to stay very mild. Another day in the high 20s. But humidex values will feel closer to 35, even high 30s through the day. Those winds will stay out of the south again, 20 to 40 kilometers per hour. And then again, those gray skies and fog along the south coast. 14, 15 degrees I have for you. Further inland, you'll see those temperatures climb a little bit as well. And then across Labrador, there's that big drop in temperatures, nearly 10 to as much as 15 degrees for some areas. And those gray skies will continue as well. We will see a rebound, though, as we get into Thursday, but I'll get into those details when I come back.
Yesterday, Eastern Health added 25,000 new appointment spots as more people were able to get their second dose appointments earlier. This week alone, the province is expecting to receive more than 100,000 doses of COVID-19 vaccine. But for some, it's still been a struggle, whether it's getting an appointment for August or booking a dose of Pfizer. Well, Judy O'Keefe is Vice President of Clinical Services with Eastern Health. Thanks for joining us.
You're welcome.
Okay, so the health minister said that as of yesterday there were going to be a lot of appointments available. 25,000 is a lot, but it's only enough for about 10% of the population for Eastern Health to be able to book. So why aren't all the appointment slots available now?
Right, so what we're doing is adding clinics on a regular basis, so adding more appointments every single day based on the demand and based on our analysis of the numbers of slots that need to be made available. So the 25,000 that we did open yesterday should take care of the majority of individuals that were booked within that 8-week time frame. But we also will be adding more appointments. So we have a number of appointments to add in the rural areas, and as well we'll be adding a lot more appointment times further out into August.
Okay, because I want to ask about August, because I know some people, everyone had their second dose already canceled. Some people looked at it and said, okay, I now need to book into August, but I don't have any spots available. So what would you recommend for people who, looked for those spots, but they're just not available yet?
Yeah, so we don't have those clinic appointments opened yet for people to book, so that's why they're finding it a challenge to go in now and replace their old clinic appointment time with a new one. But we will be opening those very soon, and we will be advising the public as well when we're able to advise them to go in and then book their appointments. So part of the issue here is we're planning out those clinics based on our knowledge about the vaccine shipments and our knowledge about the numbers of people that would be due for their second dose within that time frame.
The province is getting a lot of Moderna. Adults can get their shot of either Pfizer or Moderna as their second dose. Doesn't matter what you got for your first. But if you're under the age of 18, you need to get Pfizer. When I checked yesterday, there wasn't a single dose of Pfizer available for second shots anywhere in the eastern region. So what are people who need to get Pfizer supposed to do? Yeah,
so for youth in particular, and others who have to have Pfizer as their choice, we are planning now to have clinic availability for youth, and we're looking at when and where those appointments will be made available. So we will be announcing for that particular group in particular. For anyone else, if you come into one of our clinics, if it's a Moderna clinic and there is a requirement for somebody for a special reason to have Pfizer, then we will be able to make that available. If by any chance that somebody does come in and they are unable to access that, we will provide an appointment for them in order to get their Pfizer vaccine.
What about people, though, who just would like to get Pfizer as their second dose? They had it as the first dose. They just feel more comfortable rather than mixing and matching.
Yeah, so we're at this point, we're unable to guarantee people that they can get one mRNA vaccine over the other at this point. People can choose to wait, but at this point, the only vaccine clinics that we have been able to add based on the volume of new vaccine that we have is the Moderna.
Now, I've heard from people who were happy with their second dose appointments. So, for example, it might have been like August 10th. They said, that's fine, I'm okay waiting. But then they got an email saying it's been canceled, and now they've got to go in and rebook. Why not allow people who wanted to keep their second dose appointments to just keep them?
Yeah, so Peter, I understand the frustration for people. I've been hearing it myself as well. I think, one of the issues is the way the system works. We weren't able to retain some appointments and then cancel others and rebook. So some challenges with the system for sure. That's why we're really trying to make it as easy as possible that we can for people to go in and rebook. For anyone who does have any challenges using the system, they certainly can call the telephone number that is available for people to book their appointments as well. But completely understand the frustration around this for most folks.
We've been talking a lot about second doses, but we still have more than 20% of eligible people who haven't gotten their first dose. I just went into the system to try and look, and if you look for a first dose at any of the St. John's area clinics, there's none available. So for people who are still needing to book their first dose, what are they supposed to do?
Yeah, again, we'll be adding those clinics for first dose, and we're very conscious of the fact that we want everyone to get an opportunity to have their vaccine. And especially for anybody who hasn't yet signed up for vaccine, we want to make sure that they're able to at least get their first dose in.
Okay, well, thank you very much for joining me and answering some of those questions.
You're welcome.
I'm getting a lot more interest than what I can service, though.
This tattoo artist helps survivors of self-harm cover up their scars, but the response may be more than she can handle.
Well, the physical scars that can come from self-harm can sometimes last a lifetime, a daily reminder of a person's struggle. But some are finding relief from that reminder at a tattoo parlor. An artist in St. John's is helping people conceal those physical scars, one cover-up at a time. We're going to introduce you to that tattoo artist and a mental health survivor.
My name's Bill Barnes, and I am a client of the Two Arrows Project.
The Two Arrows Project, it's a project to help survivors of self-harm. It's tattoos for healing.
I was probably 11 or 12 when I started with the self-harm. Initially, for me, it was a way to just kind of instantly come out of my brain.
Self-harm in a lot of forms is a lot more common than people think. I think with, the cutting, it's a level of distress, it's a level of mental distress that is kind of taking a physical form.
I feel sadness that I had to go through it, that there's people going through it right now. I've been thinking about it for years, getting it covered up, but I wasn't really sure, how.
People come to look, to get scars covered in disguise. So once a month, I can open up a day and take, 1, 2, maybe 3 clients, kind of depending on the sizes of the tattoos, and to be able to kind of offer this service for free. I'm getting a lot more interest than what I can service though. So this is kind of why I formulated the Pay It Forward, essentially kind of creating a little bit of a kitty. As of right now, I've got enough that I can probably do 2 tattoos above and beyond what I'm offering myself once a month.
There's something that was always in my mind in every interaction with everybody. Someone's going to ask me about this, are they thinking about this? And now it's, that's not there anymore. So it's been a huge step in my process.
It needs to become a conversation. When we make connections with other people, when we can, be honest about the things that potentially have caused us the most shame and struggle, bring that out and take that bit of power away from it, I think there's a lot of good in that.
My scars are a part of me. In a way, I kind of see them as battle scars, because this was a particularly bad time that I managed to get through. In a way, I guess it's not really in a way to cover them up, but kind to incorporating them into a beautiful piece of art.
So what else is out there to help people dealing with self-harm? Let's get some reaction now. TJ Smith is in St. Anthony. Several years ago, he started a peer support group on the Northern Peninsula for people who are struggling with mental health issues. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
So first of all, what are your thoughts on what we just saw there?
It was pretty powerful, I thought. Something I would never thought of, but as a tattoo artist, I thought it was pretty cool. There's definitely people out there that want to cover up their scars, and for her to help out like that, I thought it was pretty amazing.
I mentioned that you started a peer support group a few years back. Tell me what you saw that prompted you to do
that. I saw struggle in our communities, especially here in Northern Newfoundland. A friend of mine actually took his life one night, and it really stayed with me, and it hit me really hard. And as a person that was dealing with his own struggles, especially with depression, I felt there was something we could do that was, in collaboration with the mental health services, and we decided to start a mental health peer support group in St. Anthony.
Okay, so that was about 3 or 4 years ago. How have things changed since then?
You know what? We got off to a rocking start when we started having it. A lot of people came through the doors. A lot of people got to share their experiences, what they were going through. We relied on each other. We supported each other. Obviously, with COVID-19 hitting there last March, I believe was our last meeting. We haven't met since, but it's on my docket to get those meetings back up and running again once we're allowed to meet face to face.
So how worried are you about some people who may have actually seen, some of their problems get worse over the last year with the pandemic, with, services not being available like that peer support?
I definitely seen it. I definitely heard about it. It was always in the news, but I've seen it firsthand in our communities as well. I think it really helped us understand how important mental health is in our lives. And just not because it's a pandemic, but I think a lot of us are kind of more aware of what was going on in our lives and how important taking care of our mental health is, especially if you're struggling with some type of mental illness.
Well, and for some people, the last year has been really hard.
Absolutely. Being isolated or being alone for long stretches is not an easy thing to do. Not being able to see your counselor or therapist or your psychiatrist face to face is very difficult. Even that social aspect of going out and seeing friends and family is very difficult when you rely on that for your, maintaining your well-being and your good mental health.
Now, you talk to a lot of people who want to get some help. What do you think the province needs to do?
From my end, and I'm a straight shooter, and I'm going to be honest, I would love to see a psychiatrist in northern Newfoundland to help our area here. We don't have one. A psychiatrist is a specialist because they know the medication, and usually medications is the first step into helping someone with a mental illness. We don't have one here. It's not, I won't say it's not fair, but it's not helpful. It sucks. We need to also educate people more and try to eliminate stigma. Once we can eliminate stigma and educate people more on mental health and mental illness, it will be a huge step in getting more people coming out and talking about their problems, more people seeking help. So it kind of goes hand in hand with getting more professional resources here, as well as educating and trying to help people talk more about their struggles.
Well, TJ, I appreciate you joining me and sharing some of your thoughts. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
These can be difficult topics to talk about, but if you want to talk to someone, there is a number you can call. The Newfoundland and Labrador Mental Health Crisis Line is available 24 hours a day. The number is 1-888-737-4668. You can also contact the National Suicide Prevention Service, toll-free, 1-833-456-4566. There's a text and chat service available as well. And there's also help from the Kids Help Phone, toll-free, 1-800-668-6868. Kids Help also has a chat option. It's also available through Facebook Messenger.
It really is way out there, and it feels like a real getaway. You feel like you're in a different world and on your own in the world in a way that's really unusual for this day and age.
Author Michael Crummey and photographer Michael Windsor are shining a national spotlight on beautiful Battle Harbour through an article in Canadian Geographic. That's coming up. next, we're going to take you to a beautiful and isolated part of Labrador, a visit to Battle Harbour through the eyes of one of the province's most celebrated writers and photographers. Author Michael Crummy and photographer Michael Windsor traveled to the remote southeast coast of Labrador for an article recently published in Canadian Geographic magazine. A lot of work is going into restoring the historic village. Here are Michael Windsor and Michael Crummy talking about their trip to Battle Harbour.
Canadian Geographic is one of the, I guess, top magazines in the country that really educates Canadians about Canada. So, and they do that by using like great pictures and stories. So to be able to contribute to something like that and showcase our province is just great on so many levels, right?
I couldn't believe how spectacular Battle Harbour is now, and what a job they've done with all of those buildings and turning those historic houses into these beautiful little getaways where you can go and spend, well, as much time as you like, I guess. But when people talk about a getaway, Battle Harbour is really away. Like, and it takes a little bit of work to get there. I flew into Blanc-Sablon, and Peter Bull picked me up there, and then we had to then take a little boat ride out to the islands. And it was I think about 45-minute ride in an open boat. As Peter said to me, as we were coming into Battle Harbour, he said, you know, if you go by Battle Harbour and keep going, the next stop is Greenland. So it really is way out there, and it feels like a real getaway. You feel like you're in a different world and on your own in the world in a way that's really unusual for this day and age.
It was a fishing community, so of course I wanted to capture one of the images there of the people working on the wharf and having the seagulls, and someone was doing fish there at the time during the fishery and all that good stuff. And I wanted to get one of my favorite time to take images is actually during blue hour. So up there when the orange kind of glow lights with the blue and kind of the warm and cool colors up there for like a landscape photographer is amazing.
Nobody really knows why this is, but Battle Harbour, it became the sort of last stop for the Newfoundland fishery on its way north to Labrador, down north, as they used to say. So Battle Harbour became the last place where you could pick up supplies and that sort of thing as you headed further down the Labrador coast. I mean, that's an incredibly important part of the history of the Labrador coast and of Newfoundlanders and Labradorians' relationship to that part of the world through the fishery. So I was hoping to capture some of that. I was hoping to talk to some of the livyers. There are still a couple of people who were born and raised in Battle Harbour who spend every summer there. And I was lucky enough to just wander around and chat with some of those folks and just get a sense from them of why they are still so much connected to that place and to that community.
My grandfather as well was a fisherman, and he talked about going up to Labrador as well. So even myself, when I had my downtime, just sitting on the wharf, and I was kind of thinking the chances that maybe my grandfather was sitting probably in the same place maybe 100 years ago as they were going up and down the coast, right? So I just think everybody in Newfoundland has some connection somehow with some grandparents or relatives that actually passed through that place.
I think what I wanted to do was to capture a sense of what a job it was to save the place. Like, I think when they started the restoration process, I think that was the last possible moment when they could have done this. I think if they had waited another 5 years, certainly 10 years, most of those buildings would have been down. So I wanted to capture a sense of what that process was and how important it was that they saved those buildings. But secondarily, then they were hoping to turn that restoration into something that would make Battle Harbour a living community again, to like provide jobs for people in Battle Harbour and people who live close by on the coast of Labrador. And I think, they're on the cusp of doing that. I think Battle Harbour is really starting to be on the map in terms of people's notions of places they have to get to, both local Newfoundlanders and Labradorians and people from away. And I'm hoping that the pandemic, which really threw a wrench into what was a building wave of interest, I hope that they're able to get past that, and get more and more people out there. I mean, it's a place you can go to be completely by your own if you want, but it can also be an incredibly social time. They've got a beautiful bar, social area set up there, and the food is incredible.
Just center rolls for sure.
Yeah, go hungry is my advice, because the food is spectacular.
People in Mascouche are cleaning up today after a tornado tore through a residential neighborhood yesterday. One man was killed and a number of homes were seriously damaged. CBC's Alison Northcott is in the town about 45 kilometers north of Montreal.
People in this neighborhood are dealing with the aftermath of the tornado that ripped through this neighborhood yesterday. People say that it came on quickly and suddenly, and it left a terrible mark. One man in his 60s was killed. We heard today from his neighbor and friend who was with him moments before.
Instead to go directly inside, we we are very impressed by that because we never see that before. So we stay there instead to go home. And when we realized, then it come on this way, with all the pieces and it blew everywhere in the air, so it's too late. I just have time to go to my home and maybe 5 seconds less, and I don't have time to go to my home.
Across this neighborhood, you can see scenes like this with damaged homes, fallen trees, and power lines. Over here, there's a home that was under construction, and the winds were so strong that it blew the home right off of its foundation. Environment Canada says the tornado traveled for 3 kilometers with winds of up to 220 kilometers per hour. The mayor says the cleanup will take time because the damage is extensive. Alison Northcott, CBC News, Mascouche, Quebec.
The Ombudsman for National Defence and the Canadian Armed Forces says it's well past time to take action on sexual misconduct in the military. Gregory Lick released a report today saying the situation has moved from, quote, crisis to tragedy.
The collective actions, or in some cases, the inaction of senior political, military, and civilian leadership within the government have eroded trust within the defense community. The internal mechanisms that were meant to support those who have suffered misconduct have failed to ensure fair outcomes. They are not just broken, they have collapsed entirely under their own weight.
Lick says he and his predecessors have listened to 30 years of empty promises from senior Defense Department officials and successive governments. He wants the Ombudsman's office to be entirely independent and report directly to Parliament, not the Defense Minister. National COVID numbers are now the lowest since last September. 588 cases were reported yesterday. According to one expert, there are 2 main reasons.
It's pretty incredible to see what has transpired here, and of course the powerful impact of mass vaccination programs and also very strong public health measures across the country. So it's great. This is truly saved thousands and thousands of Canadians and will continue to do so. Wonderful to see.
Dr. Theresa Tam says Ottawa needs to be sure that the current crop of vaccines remains effective against any possible variants of concern before easing the strictest measures.
Ashley is back with the long range, and she has a friend with her, Drizzle, the weather dog. Ashley's a puppy, so I guess you're trying to tell us that we're in the dog days of summer now, hey?
Yeah, we just started, but we're already seeing the really warm temperatures across there. I had to get her a little pool today. She hasn't experienced this kind of heat at all, but certainly loved it, that's for sure. But we are going to see a little bit of a relief from that as we head into Thursday. Let's take a look at the future tracker. Not a whole lot of rain to speak of. It's actually going to be a fairly nice day, but we are going to see some showers eventually roll through parts of Labrador through the afternoon. As we get into Friday morning, better chance of that, and we might even see a little bit of cloud cover, but not a whole lot happening across the island. Although we're going to see that drier, cooler air, and by cooler I mean still in the 20s, but definitely cooler than what we've been seeing for the past couple of days. And then as we get into Saturday, that better chance of showers will roll through Labrador, and eventually by Sunday morning we'll see that for the northern portion of the island as well as the west. But that southerly flow will continue, so we will see some fairly nice temperatures back down to more pleasant 20 to 23 degrees as the daytime highs. Plenty of sunshine, it looks like, through the afternoon. But again, relief from that humidity. And then across Labrador, anywhere from 20 to 23 degrees for the most part. And then back into the double digits for Nain, 15 degrees. Although you'll see the slight chance of some showers in the morning and then clearing skies as the day goes on. Into Friday, though, that's when that return, better chance of showers will be for Labrador. 25 degrees for Happy Valley Goose Bay under a mix of sun and cloud. Same thing for Cartwright. And then look at that rebound in temperatures by Friday. Back into the high 20s. No humidity, so it'll feel really beautiful. 27 degrees for Gander, 26 in Corner Brook. And then St. John's will see a high near 22 degrees. I'm going to keep that sun icon in there both Saturday and Sunday. It's looking so far like it will be a pretty beautiful weekend. Anywhere from 22 to 23 degrees and overnight lows in between 11 and 15 degrees. And then for central Newfoundland, back into the 27, 28 by Sunday. That's when we'll return to that chance of showers later on in the day, and 23 degrees. And then for western Newfoundland, 26 to 24 degrees as you get into the weekend, and again a little bit unsettled by the time Sunday evening rolls around. Saturday afternoon, or Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening. And then for eastern Labrador, Saturday looks gray. Sunday return to some sunshine, but temperatures will stay in those 20s and overnight lows anywhere from 15 to 17 degrees. And then for Lab West, those gray skies through Saturday and a little bit of sunshine peeking through for Sunday. I wanted to share this photo. Look at this rainbow over Woody Point. If you look in the distance there, you can see the tablelands. Jerome shared that one with us. And if you have any weather photos to share with us, send them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
Beautiful shot.
You can see the tablelands there.
Yeah, gorgeous. Thanks, Ashley. Well, Peter, before we finish up, tomorrow, another briefing day, but it's going to be a bit different than the briefings that you've been attending for the past year and a half.
Yeah, much the same, but one big difference is, unlike the rest of the briefings that we've been doing over the last year, reporters will actually be allowed to attend in person. So we won't have to be over the phone. So that'll be different. However, government is sticking with limiting reporters to 3 questions each, and we're not allowed to get out of our chairs. We're not even allowed to have camera people, so we're still relying on the government feed in order to bring you the briefing. So a sign that things are getting a little more back to normal, but still a lot of restrictions in place in terms of how we're able to do our jobs. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll have a similar number of people getting COVID as we have over the weekend. Only, yeah, just one today, so it was pretty good.
Yep, 0s over the weekend, 1 today.
Yeah.
That's a good sign. As numbers drop in the rest of the country, dropping here as well.
Going in the right direction. All right, thanks everyone for watching tonight. See you tomorrow.
Have a good night.